Hello and welcome. My name is Jen Malone. I am an IC product expert for Lloyds Register, and I'm here to speak to you today about how IC can help you unlock the true value of OGA's geological mapping database. The agenda for this webinar is first to speak about the OGA data itself, the geological mapping project, the geochemistry database, and any associated challenges. Following on from that, we'll talk about the IC database itself, how it's an integrated approach to data management. It can help you with your data interrogation, building maps, data visualization, and the next steps for your data. Unfortunately, we will not be able to take live questions at the end of the webinar, but please ask questions via our GoToWebinar portal or via our digital products email address, which is now showing on the screen. Any questions that are sent through either of these options will be responded to directly as soon as possible. The OGA data.
Hello, my name is Henk Kombrink and I am a senior geologist with Lloyds Register in the Reservoir Services team. And today I would like to quickly introduce you into two major projects we worked on over the past years for the OGA. And both of these projects were released in summer this year. The first of those projects is the UKCS Regional Maps project. It was a project we started working on in 2016, so it took 3 years to complete. And as I said, on the 12th of August, OGA did a press release announcing that all these data are now available into the public domain. A second project we worked on at the same time is a project about geochemical and geological databases. Again, this was released over summer. On the 10th of July, OGA released or did a press release launching the 32nd offshore licensing round, and at the same time they also supplied the public with a raft of data sets, and one of them was the geochemical data set we worked on. So in the slides to come, I will quickly introduce you in both of these projects and what kind of data is available within those. So the first one is the UKCS Regional Geological Maps project. If you go to the OGA website and navigate to the Open Data portal, look out for this title, OGA and Lloyds Register UKCS Merged Regional Geological Maps. So if you would download this to your machine, the main element of this project will be a GIS project. And this slide shows you how it looks like once you would open this in ArcGIS. So there is a raft of different data available through this GIS project, ranging from lithostrat, so tops, to well penetrations, faults, drill stem tests, hydrocarbon occurrences, fields, structural elements, deposition of facies maps, reservoir distribution maps, and grids. I expanded one of those items, the deposition of facies maps, which really gives you an impression of the breadth of data or maps available. So in terms of deposition of facies maps, we've got a range from Devonian up to the middle upper Eocene, and this totals to 24 maps. The same number is available as reservoir distribution maps, etc. So this really paints a good picture of the breadth of data out there, and all the well type of data, for instance, hydrocarbon occurrences, drill stem tests, have the same stratigraphic breakdown, such that it is really easy to overlay things on top of each other. So then the UKCS Geochemical and Geological Database project. The same for this project. It's available through the Open Data portal in the OGA website. It's called the UKCS Petroleum Systems Project Year 1. So if you would download this, the main element of this project is a series of Excel sheets containing the geochemical data sets. So what is the size of this database? Um, so this slide gives you a bit of an impression of that. So there's more than 2,700 wells in the database containing geochemical data. It's a mix of onshore and offshore data. Um, and in total, there's more than 90,000 well samples available in the database. Mostly geochemical analysis on core, sidewall core, and cuttings, but there's also some oils, condensates, and gas analysis available too. Most of the data were from CDA, the precursor of the NDR, uh, as well as Exxon and Shell dataset, which was a main contributor too. I won't ask you to read this slide fully, but this really gives a good impression of the breadth of data available within the geochemical data set. So it's data ranging from pyrolysis, TOC, vitronite reflectance, CGMS data, and mud gas analysis. So there's a lot available out there. So this is just a quick summary of the two data sets we worked on over the past 3 years. And my colleague Jem will now um, inform you about how we took the data sets available in different softwares and integrated all of this into our own software IC, which ultimately we hope facilitates people working with the data.
The IC database. As a global leader in subsurface data management software, Lloyds Register saw the benefit that a preloaded database in combination with IC, our primary mapping and visualization software, could bring to the North Sea oil and gas market. We are now pleased to offer this fully preloaded database alongside IC in a ready-to-go package, allowing our clients to fully maximize the value of this newly available wealth of data. The key features of the UKCS LRIC database are that it includes all of the GIS shapefiles from the OGA and Lloyds Register merged geological maps project, including, but not limited to, the depositional facies maps, the reservoir distribution maps, and structural element maps. It also includes all of the geochemical data from the IGI database. Additionally, there is well data, including header information, group formation and members data for over 3,500 wells across the UKCS. Statistical information for regional sand thickness distributions is also available within the database. Using the Lloyds Register UKCS IC database has a lot of advantages for our users. The main one being that it can save you weeks of data export, import, and QC, getting the data from the OGA database and then downloading it, checking it, and importing it back into your own application. By using IC, we've already done that for you. The population of the database was completed by LR specialists who actually worked on the OGA project, ensuring that there was a consistent and valuable data QC between the GIS maps and the IC database itself. The same specialists also integrated the IGI geochemical data into the database, ensuring that the QC process continued throughout. This database can be used to begin or advance your UKCS well database by quickly integrating the OGA data with your own data. So all of the data that's available within this database, you can edit, you can add more data to, you can start to build up your own interpretations. You can quickly generate basin-wide maps interrogating that data. You can integrate the standard visualization of the reservoir distribution maps for all of the stratigraphic intervals. You can utilize already generated consistent display styles from dictionaries and relevant stratigraphic schemes within IC. You can easily generate simple correlations showing a consistent data display. You can generate quick-look maps of geochemistry data across the UKCS, combining geochemical data with your UKCS maps to get a more complete impression of the area and delve deeper into the data with confidence. You can seamlessly integrate your own interpretation with the OGA data in a single location and easily compare it. So you can see there's a lot of different benefits for using this database, but now I actually want to show you what data is within the database and how it can be used to expand your interpretation. So I have a map already open within IC. You can see it's populated with all of the different areas of the UKCS areas, and I have a lot of different wells available for view. So we've incorporated all of the well data as well as the maps available from the website. Now to use this data within IC is very simple. So I'll just close that map there. If I open a new map, I can look at all of my data at once. So if I turn on my wells like so, I can see my wells populated there. Let's give it some context, perhaps a country. So I can now see where my well data is related to. Let's just make this a little bit clearer. At the moment, I'm showing all of the wells, their symbols, and their names side by side, which can appear a little cluttered. So let's turn those labels off. Let's manipulate how this is visualized. There we go. I can start to get a better understanding of what's going on. So I can incorporate, by simply dragging and dropping, my various GIS shapefiles. So I can show the depositional facies, the reservoir distribution for all of the different zones and areas and stratigraphies. These are all interchangeable, so I can change the ordering of these, and instantaneously you can see that change there. So if I turn on my key, you can get a little bit more information about what we're seeing there, like so. So these maps are all completely editable, and you can save them and export them as PNGs, PDFs, even email as attachments. So at the moment I'm seeing all of my wells within the UKCS database, but I don't normally want to work that way. I'd normally want to filter my wells to look for specific data or even well statuses. And within IC, this can be done very easily. You can either use well queries within the well selection. So for example, if I wanted to see wells that had group data logged, I can select and apply those changes. For example, if I wanted to see all of the wells that had member lithostratigraphy containing the Balmoral sandstone, I can click on my predefined query. You can see that a lot of the wells now are unticked, some of them still are. I can apply those changes and I can now see that only a few wells in a particular area are now populated, indicating that this is the only area that the Balmoral sandstone is within the member information. So I could change the area of interest, zoom in on that data, and start to interrogate further. But within IC, we've actually already done some of this work for you. We've split the different areas of the UKCS into different projects. So we have the Central North Sea and Moray Firth, the English Channel, the North Sea, the South North Sea. We've created different projects to show that information. So I can just quickly show you how those change there. So different sets of wells in each project, like so. So I've opened our basic map of the central North Sea Moray Firth area, and I'm having a look at some of the wells that are present. So I could hover over some of these wells and I can see the well properties. I can even see what well data is available within those wells. So I can actually click on the lithostratigraphy data and I can see all of that group information, including the top and base, the legend, where it came from. I can swap to my formation. I can see that I have member information as well. So I can actually see the raw information there. And all of this is editable within the IC database. So I can scroll to a specific well. Let's pick 1503. So this well. So trying to find it here is going to be incredibly difficult. I could find it on the left-hand side here. There it is there. So I can expand this well within our data browser and I can see what data sits within it there. But if I then want to actually see where the surface position for that well is compared with some of the other wells around it, I can actually use the map to do so. So if I click here, I can locate that highlighted well and that tells me exactly where that well is. It's right there. Thank you. So from this, what can I do? Now that I've found my well, I've got a number of different options available to me. So the first thing that I might want to do is actually have a look at the data downhole. So I can produce what we call a quick chart with an IC. I've got a template that I made earlier, and within a few seconds there, I can see a well stick for my well. So this just contains the group formation and member data, but I could very easily add something additional, such as maybe one of the geochemical samples information. So if I come to my rock evaluation, what I might want to see is something like my HI, so my hydrogen index. So I press OK there. I can set up how I want to visualize that. I can see that the data extents need extending. Let's pick something sensible there. I might not want to see it as just a trace. Let's give it a bit of color. So you can see with just some few clicks there, I can actually change how that data is visualized. I can also interactively edit IC, so I can create new data, insert new data points, change depths, all sorts of things actually visually on my charts. So let's just add in another data type here. So it could be things like adding zones for interpretation. So I'm just going to add in zones there. This is now an empty data type that I can populate. So by coming to here, I can add in fresh data. So let's call this zone 1, like so. I could add in zone 2, like so. So that data is now sitting within the database. It in itself is still editable, but I can actually go to the data within the table and see the depths associated with that and then use that throughout my database elsewhere if I need it. Along with the main geological maps on the OGA website, you'll also find this document here, which is the OGA UK Stratigraphy Charts All Areas. So this includes a number of different strat schemes for the different areas that are mapped across the UKCS region. This information can be very useful, particularly obviously for stratigraphers. And so we've carried that through within IC's stratigraphy module, and within the database, we've included a number of different strat schemes available. So strat schemes within IC is one of its strengths, its ability to build hierarchies between different data types. So for example, this Central North Sea strat scheme here indicates that the members associated on the right hand side here have hierarchical associations with the formation and groups as well. Now, this can be based on ages or parent-child relationships within IC. You can be strict with your strat schemes, or you can have a loose adherence to the hierarchies as well, which is what we've included here. But we've converted that document into a range of different strat schemes, which are all available to use and apply to your data. So using this strat scheme here, I can apply this to my data within my well, and I can actually create new data. So at the moment I have my member, my formation, and my group, but I can verify my data against my scheme to build chronostratigraphic data, to build age depth mapping, and to eventually be able to visualize my data in age depth. Of course, age depth isn't the only way of visualizing your data within IC. You can change the perspective of the data very quickly and easily. Either measure depth, TVD, TVDSS, even TST, two-way time, and age using our advanced stratigraphy modules. So very quickly, I'll be able to show those changing once I've applied my strat schemes. I can also change the scale of this data. So very quickly, I can make that very elongated like so, or I can bring that back down to a much smaller scale again. So coming back to my strat scheme to creating new data, if I insert a template, that will probably show you best how this can be done. So if I press OK there, I now have a template that's waiting for data to be populated. So using the stratigraphy module within IC, as I mentioned earlier, I can verify my data against my scheme. So just to show that I haven't done this to the data before, if I come in to the data, I can show you that my top and base age for my group, my formation, and my member data hasn't yet been populated. So by verifying my data for my 15.3 well, like so, I could of course do multiple wells at once. I can verify against my scheme, pick my scheme, and off I go. That then has a look at the data within the well, has a look at the strat scheme, and gives the data within the well information such as the top age and base age based on what's within the scheme. At that point, the next thing that I want to do is build my age depth mapping again for my 15.3 well. I'm going to select my input scheme like so, select what I want to build, and you can have a number of these age depth mappings populated within even the same well, depending on what data, what scheme you've used to build that age depth mapping. You can then choose which ones you want to apply to your data. So I process that like so. That's going to give me my age depth mapping. There, so I now have age depths for my well. Based on this information, I can now actually show my data in age rather than just depth, thus indicating where I have unconformities within my data, which I wouldn't normally be able to see unless I had completed this process. I could then, of course, take this process further again and create new data using our age-related datasets builder. So for this purpose, I'm just going to build interpolate to single values. So I'm going to use that age depth mapping we made before, choose a scheme that I wish to compare my data to, and then process that. Okay, so very quickly there, I've managed to create new data from my scheme interpretation within my IC database. So again, I can compare this in measured depth and change the scale like so to give me a more complete view of the subsurface. I can of course add contextual information such as a map of my area like so. Let's make that a little bigger there. I can add things like cross plots, ternary plots, even heat maps. So for this particular well, I'm just going to do the one, but I could add multiple different wells into my cross plot like so. So let's just add in some data, maybe even filter it by something like the Tmax and give the Tmax a different color. So if I change the formatting as well, we have control over a number of things within the crosspots. You can add things like lines, even analysis trend lines as well. Once I'm happy with that, I can add that to my IC montage for presentation elsewhere. So it's not just the maps and the charts that you'll be building. You can build a lot more information. So coming back to our maps, how else can IC add value to the OGA data? Well, coming back to the map here, I can also actually use the various tools within the map toolbox to query and analyze my data. So IC well queries are incredibly powerful. And of course, the UKCS database will be coming with a few queries built in. These are just a few that I've added on additionally. So well queries act as filters, both within anywhere that you have a well list and also visually on your maps as well. So what do I mean by this? Well, I can drag and drop this query here onto my map, and that's going to show me all of the members that contain the Balmoral sandstone within my wells. So it could be that some of my wells don't have the member information logged, or that they simply do not contain the Balmoral sandstone for whatever reason. What I might want to do is actually drop one of the GIS files from the mapping project onto my map and see if I can get any more information. So having a look at the depositional facies for the Balmoral sandstone phase, if I put that on there, I can actually see how the map was formed almost from here. So if I zoom right the way in to my map, I can see that the constraints of my depositional facies fall along the same line as where my Balmoral sandstone sits, like so. So I can feel confident that my data is correct and is displaying correctly on my map. I'm happy with that. I can also use the filters, or well queries, to actually choose which wells I want to look at. So you can see I've got a lot of wells on my map here. Not all of them may be useful. So what I might be interested in is wells that maybe contain oil rather than condensate, gas, or even dusters. So I can filter that list down, and I now have a more precise list of wells to work with. That seems pretty good. I could also deselect that and select all and see all of them again, like so. So apart from well queries, how else can I interrogate my wells? Well, I can use what we call IC analysis tools within the map toolbox to do this. So for this example, I'm going to use a subcrop bubble, and I'm going to look at my group data. So if I order by depth, what I might want to do is start with something like my moray here. And what I want to identify is actually what group data falls directly underneath the base of the moray. A bit of variation across my field. And IC can help you actually visualize that. So if I just pull up my key as well. So let's show those bubbles like so. I can actually start to see differences. So on the whole, for the moray, I've got the combination of the Montrose, the chalk, and the Zechstein. That seems fairly okay. As I go down my stratigraphy, using my strat scheme linked into my data to do so, I can see how that changes. I can see, for example, that under the Shetland, I've actually got one example of the criminal just for one of my wells. It could be that the wrong strat scheme has been applied to this well, that the data might not be correct for this region. Um, I might want to go in and have a look at that data and just see what's going on a little bit deeper. Going further down the stratigraphy, you can start to see more changes occurring like so. So this can give you a lot of information about what's happening, what could be potentially occurring across your field. Now, of course, to have a look at this properly, what you really need to do is actually build a correlation showing that information. And we can do that directly from our map just by picking a few of the wells that I'm interested in and seeing how they display. So I'm going to use the template that we used earlier. I'm going to apply my group depths like so. So I'm actually going to use that template there. And I'm going to tie on my group data. So within a few seconds, I can build a correlation across my field, showing the changes in the group data along with the formation and the member as it changes. This is, of course, editable, as is everything within IC. So uh, I can come into the chart and actually change the perspective I'm looking at my data. So for example, what I might want to do is see what changes at the bottom of this interval. So I can come over and I can flatten on the base. I can start to get a bigger picture of the subsurface. Unfortunately, this concludes our webinar for today. I would love to show you a lot more that could be done within IC within this database, but unfortunately we don't have time. I'm sure, however, that even this brief demonstration has shown the potential value that the UKCS LRIC database could unlock for you and your teams going forwards. We look forward to hearing from you, and for more information about the database and IC, please contact digitalproducts@lr.org to be referred to over to one of our account managers, or contact our IC support team on the below details. Thank you once again for your attention. Goodbye.